the Nether update is turning out to be one of my favorite Minecraft updates so far. From the cool new biomes, to striders, to the pretty useful new building blocks, to striders, to making gold actually useful, to striders, and many other amazing things, especially striders. However, there are several tiny tweaks that I think could improve the update as a whole, so here are my 45 tiny changes to the Nether update. First of all, the Nether wastes, or old Nether generation looks pretty ugly compared to the new biomes. Maybe we could throw in some floating particles like the rest of the biomes to give it some more atmosphere. While we're on the topic of the Nether wastes, zoglins, which can only spawn when hoglins are brought to the overworld, should occasionally spawn in the Nether wastes to give it some diversity. Speaking of pigs, why the heck don't piglins accept powered rails? It's made of gold, you dips. Piglins should barter for things like Nilium, soul soil and blackstone, as they're impossible to get in old worlds before the update. Alternatively, you could be able to till soul sand into soil to get soul soil in old worlds. Piglins should occasionally wear golden boots with soul speed on them. They have the books after all. Since zombie piglins are, you know, zombies, you should be able to heal them like you can with zombie villagers. Maybe they could even survive in the overworld, throw rarer items at you after healing them. Why don't piglins become zombified after getting killed by a zombie piglin or zoglin? It would make quite a lot of sense in my opinion. By the way, piglin bastions should probably use soul lanterns instead of regular lanterns. They fit the theme and look a lot better in my opinion. Targets should spawn outside of piglin bastions. For target practice, I guess. Target blocks feel really out of place in the Nether update, so this could tie it in with the rest of the features. Although some parts of the piglin bastions look amazing, others look like a big old box. These areas should get more exterior decoration. The often neglected Nether fortress should get a little bit of decoration as well using the new Nether brick variants. Since there are these new Nether brick variants, why aren't there any new forms of red Nether brick as well? By the way, get rid of the stupid Nether brick fence. Regular bricks should make the new sound that Nether bricks make. Very nice and satisfying. Nether wart seems to have been heavily neglected throughout the update, only spawning in fortresses and occasionally bastions. Nether wart should rarely spawn in soul valleys. I mean, the whole place is made of soul sand, right? Speaking of which, you should be able to use bone meal to grow Nether wart. I mean, you can grow all of the other plants in the Nether with bone meal, so why not Nether wart? Since soul sand and soul soil are extremely similar, why can you not place Nether wart on soul soil? It looks more fertile. It's called soil after all. In a similar vein, soul soil should also be able to create bubble elevators. Abandoned portals under the ocean should spawn with a little bit of soul sand and soul soil to show new players how to create bubble elevators. Now, with all of this functionality given to soul soil, there won't be any use for soul sand. It would basically be the same block but uglier, so maybe you could be able to smelt soul sand into some sort of soul glass to give soul sand a bit more use. Soul torches should lose the coal in their crafting recipe, as the soul campfire seems to be powered by the soul soil alone based on the crafting recipe. Speaking of which, soul torches and campfires look pretty ugly honestly. They should use crimson wood in their texture instead of oak. If you can make soul torches, lanterns and campfires, why not jack-o'-lanterns? Yeah, why not? Since soul soil and soul sand can power all of these things, then why shouldn't it be used as a fuel source in furnaces? It wouldn't burn for very long. Considering how easy it is to acquire these blocks, the all-amazing striders should get warm when standing on both forms of campfires, both forms of fire, and magma blocks. The long-neglected carrot on a stick should have the same durability functionality as the warped fungus on a stick. This means that it should allow you to speed up with a right click, but it only loses durability when you have sped up. Transporting the all-powerful striders across land can be a massive pain sometimes. This might be kind of a stretch, but maybe striders can warm up for a little bit if you feed them a piece of magma cream. This would give magma cream a much-needed new use. While we're on the topic of striders, it honestly pains me to kill them for their string, so why can't we just shear it off of them like we can with sheep? Maybe it can regrow after they eat a warped fungus. Speaking of that warped fungus stuff, I don't really understand those big warped trees. Why are there warped wart blocks? What is warped wart? I'd say that warped wart blocks should have their name changed to nether sprout blocks and be craftable with 9 nether sprouts. This would remove confusion about warped wart blocks and would also give a small but needed use for nether sprouts. Speaking of which, the wart blocks of the tree things in the Crimson and Warped Forest should deteriorate like the trees in the overworld do. Right now it's really difficult to harvest large amounts of the new wood types without an automatic farm. Why the heck aren't there Crimson and Warped boats like there are for the rest of the wood types? They don't have to do anything special. This would just be for consistency. At the moment there's really no point in having Crimson and Warped roots, unless you want to compost it, I guess. I say that you should be able to turn Crimson roots into red dye, and Warped roots into cyan dye to give them some more functionality. Let's move on over to my favorite new biome, the basalt deltas. At the moment gilded blackstone only spawns in piglin bastions, but it looks like it should generate in regular blackstone, as it's a lot harder to find nether gold in the basalt deltas. By the way, doesn't the polished blackstone texture look familiar to you? Honestly, it reminds me of the old polished diorite texture. It seems outdated and a bit too rough. I feel that it should have a much smoother texture like the other polished blocks have. A bunch of the other new blocks need tweaks as well. First of all, imagine how useful it would be if we could place chains sideways. It really seems like something that you could obviously do in-game, and could be used for a lot of things. By the way, why do you just kind of run into the chain? It clearly looks like something you can walk through, and it's really unsatisfying right now. Maybe you could even climb them. This would make for some really cool looking parkour courses. I think that the chain should get some sort of weird technical functionality. Maybe they could hold up gravity blocks, and could perhaps even drop them if they got a redstone signal. It doesn't make sense that crying obsidian isn't craftable whatsoever. I was thinking that maybe a piece of obsidian surrounded by 4 ghast tears could make this block. I mean, ghast tears are associated with regeneration and respawning anyways, and crying obsidian is the key ingredient to the new respawn anchor. Why do you have to put whole blocks of glowstone into the respawn anchor? It makes a lot more sense if it's just dust, to be honest. The lodestone's crafting recipe is way too expensive right now. I know it's supposed to be a powerful block, but a whole netherite ingot seems like way too much at the moment. It's got to be at least a netherite scrap. Mining for netherite is way too boring right now. We should at least get some sort of new nether cave, or maybe even something like a small dungeon would be cool. Speaking of the lodestone, you should be able to put a lodestone compass into a grindstone to turn it back into a regular compass. It would be nice to be able to reuse your compass on several different lodestones. Remember the warp command from the April Fool's snapshot that allowed you to teleport to any of the infinite dimensions? I feel like the command should be brought back for the new update, but it should allow you to only teleport to the 3 main dimensions. And finally, the 45th tiny change to the Nether update. This one is probably the most important change out of all of these, but we need an option to turn off the Nether portal nausea effect. Please. I don't personally mind it, but it could be considered annoying for many, especially those who get motion sick easily. Anyways, those are my 45 tiny suggestions for the Nether update. If you enjoyed, make sure to join the Discord or else follow me on Twitter and let me know if you liked the video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time, Toasties.